guys, so I'm going to do a quick little design study of this beautiful green CSL Batmobile BMW.
We'll talk to the car's owner and restorer, Ron Perry, after a close look at this restored, authentic, original design, with a brief summary of the car culture historic significance, or why it's worth a lot more money than similar-looking old BMW examples, making it a valuable collectible or tangible asset. BMW introduced the 3.0 CSL in 1972 as an homologation special based on the popular 3.0 CS or CSI sporting coupe, produced between 71 and 75. With only the last 167 CSL being released with the famous Batmobile aerodynamic package, and only the very last few of those bearing more unusual paint colors like this tighter green. The L stood for Leicht, which was German for light, since the entire unibody structure had thinner gauge steel, deleted trim and soundproofing, doors, hood, and trunk lid of aluminum alloy, and perspex side windows. These modifications lowered the weight of the 3.0 CSL by around 440 pounds, getting it to 2,800 pounds total, approximately. The engine fitted to the last series of the 3.0 CSL vehicles was the M30 inline-6, bored to just over 3,000 cc's to provide 206 horsepower at 5,600 revs, improving the CSL's power-to-weight ratio from even Generation 1 CSL's 180 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Although the horsepower and weight figures may not seem impressive by modern standards, the competition version of the 3.0 CSL proved almost unbeatable on track. It won the European Touring Car Championship in 1973, and then again every year from 75 to 79. Also in 73, it took a popular class victory at Le Mans, and it won a slew of races in the IMSA GT Championship in 1975, and countless victories in sports racing car competition around the world in the mid to late 1970s. Some of the notable names involved with the CSL include avid motorsports enthusiast and automotive visionary Bob Lutz, who took over sales in 1972 and later became chairman of GM after the Cunningham Motors C7 designed by my dad. Revered drivers Hans Stuck, Sam Posey, Brian Redman, and others would drive CSLs in order to beat other 3.0 CSLs. Other interesting names associated with the CSL include the art cars. The first two were done by Alexander Calder and Frank Stella. As an homologation special, the 3.0 CSL or Coupe Sport Lightweight not only made their mark in motorsports, but were also among the hallowed CS or E9 bodies, which established a design milestone for BMW's brand, with double headlamps and the C-pillar Hofmeister kink added to the kidney grille, which was initially very small. While these cars were dominant in period on the track, Ron Perry's 1974 CSL gained yet another award this day, Off Track, a class win in the San Marino Motor Classic, further solidifying his reputation as the go-to guy today for Batmobile restoration.
Hi, this is Christine. I'm here with Timeless Vehicles at the San Marino Motor Classic, and we've just run across one of our friends here, Ron Perry, and his wonderful CSL Batmobile green.
Done a few CSLs before, one I did for Bobby Rahal, so I kind of got tagged as the go-to guy for a CSL. So for this particular car, I had a friend call me and ask me if I wanted to buy a CSL Batmobile. And then we sent a truck in January to pick it up.
Yeah, I wondered, did it look like this when you bought it?
No, it was a wreck. It was an absolute mess. And had the wrong engine in it. It was painted white because I think at one time green was not a popular color, probably in the 80s. And somebody probably said, oh, that awful green, let's paint it white. So, and it was a horrible job. And so I found out from BMW that it was Tiger Green. And then more research, I found out there were only 4 of them built in this color. So I'm like...
Of how many? What was the total volume?
167 all together.
Wow.
The first 110 were all either silver or white, and most of them were silver. And then the last 57, they introduced color. So they made 4 of these. They made 2 black, 2 fjord blue, which is a lighter blue, and of course silver and black, and a few other colors. So anyway, I'm like, oh great, this is a beautiful color. And so I started taking everything apart. As soon as I got the dash apart, you could see the tiger green on the dash. I'm like, okay, here we go. From there, we started rebuilding everything. I knew I was getting the car in December, so I started loading up on parts because I had done Bobby Rahal's car before this. So I had the list of everything I needed.
Okay.
So I just went through at this German company and ordered all the parts, and then anything I couldn't find from them, I ordered from the dealer, and everything was starting to come in. So by the time we got the car stripped and over to the painter, which was in early February, we started to build the undercarriage. So we built all the suspension, everything new, we redid everything, and then when the car came back in July, we had everything on the ground, and we just lowered the car onto all the suspension and bolted it all up. I mean, this car, we started in January tearing it apart.
Okay.
And then by July 15th, the car was ready to go to Monterey, running and driving. I mean, Bobby Rahal's car, I didn't finish until I was supposed to leave for Monterey on a Wednesday, and I finished the car on Wednesday. So it was tough. This one, I'm like, really? I've got 30 days left? Wow.
Wow. Now, I know Bobby Rahal's pretty discriminating, I'll say, about who he hires to do things. So
he actually came out and met me, and Bobby is he's a real good judge of character, and he's probably one of the greatest ambassadors of motorsport.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
So we met, we had a lunch together, and he said, okay, let's do this. And he said, wait, can you win a concourse with it? I said, of course. I'm like,
there we go.
and I took it up to Monterey and we won our class. So
Nice.
I called him up. I said, okay, you got what you wanted.
Yep.
And he said, good, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Wow. What do you like about the design of this car?
The Italian style. If you look at a mid-60s Ferrari 330 GT, you can tell where they stole the lines from. You look at the C-pillar and the tail lights, you're like,
Those proportions look very familiar.
I recognize that, and I'm like, they totally stole that from it. But yeah, I like the lines that are the best. I think it's one of the prettiest BMWs ever made.
Yes, definitely. And I can see why they call it the Batmobile.
Yeah, it looks goofy like a Batmobile.
Yeah.
I see what Ron's noticed. The Ferrari 330 GT and BMW CS do have very similar proportions and features. The differences of the Ferrari's more raked rear glass ending further back on the rear deck lid than the CS is very subtle. Their B-line and gently angled descending rear deck lid are so similar. The BMW Greenhouse's rear glass angle echoes the forward-leaning angle of the grille and achieves a nearly invisible B-column, with that wonderful rear window glass curving around the corner. Wilhelm Hofmeister might have outdone Pininfarina with these elements, and his signature kink clears a space for the BMW roundel. The Ferrari's hood gracefully wedges down to the bumper between the raised fenders, which are defined by the headlight rounds, like a Porsche, instead of the BMW's integrated grille and headlight bar with hood flat across from top of fender to fender. Yet another similar feature is the vent or louver detail in front of the door or behind the wheel. It's quite an interesting comparison, as he's noted.